I'd like to introduce our new guests that are with us now, and we have Joey O'Shea. And Joey, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Do you mind?
Yeah, I work for David Saban Auctions. I'm an event coordinator there. I'm from Orange County. I'm also a spokesperson now for Equality Action Now. And I'm pretty much just getting myself situated in my new lifestyle, I guess I would say.
Good for you. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Joey.
Definitely. Thank you for inviting me.
And he's also a Patriots fan, and I am too. So, and he's Irish. No. So yeah, he's my favorite. No, I'm just kidding. And also we have Enrique, and Enrique Menares has been working at the Sacramento Gay Lesbian Center now for, I don't know, a long time now, doesn't it seem? And he's also a community activist. He's an outreach coordinator at the center. He is still very youthful himself, so he works a lot with youth and very involved in the community. So thank you for being here with us today, Enrique.
Thank you for having me.
So, you know, we talked a little bit to our other guests about some of their experiences, but I'm kind of wondering too, in your lives, you know, did you experience bullying, and maybe when did it start, and even like when did you first realize you were gay, or even questioning? I mean, did those things, you know, everybody talks about sort of high school, but from what I understand, a lot of kids know when they're a lot younger. So anyhow, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you know, it was actually in 7th grade that I knew I was gay. There was a TV show on MTV called My So-Called Life.
Oh, I remember that.
And if you remember, the one gay kid character's name, who was played by Wilson Cruz, was also named Enrique. Ricky for sure. His real name was Enrique, and he was the gay kid. And so that's kind of when I first identified who I was. And I actually came out to my cousin, who was in high school at the time, at that very moment. She told me it's the most maternal she's ever felt, and that I had turned pale white. And for me to turn pale white is very hard to do. So, you know, that was the hard coming out. But then I really just decided to hide, because I knew it wasn't accepted. I come from a very conservative Latin Catholic family, brought up by my really strong and independent single mother, and it was really great. But you know, high school was really hard for me. Because I had to hide who I was. I had to fight and pretend and change my mannerisms and make sure I wasn't called fag or queer like I saw a lot of other people doing.
Yeah. So you really went out of your way to kind of hide it?
I did. You know, it's funny, I was still bullied because I was Hispanic and Latino, you know, and I was bullied for that, but not for being gay. I didn't really face that until I was actually in college, and I started coming out more and being who I was, and you know, came out to my parents, my mom, in a very weird way. She was looking through my stuff and found my real journal with my current boyfriend at that time, picture of him, and I was doing a lot of research, so she found all my gay books, my like Out magazine.
So you were trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and so I just remember getting, it's the funniest thing, I remember getting a call and telling her to meet at the psychiatrist's office that she was seeing for an emergency meeting, and meeting there, and then my mom in tears and asked me if I was gay, and I said, yes, I'm gay. And so that was when I came out to her, which was very hard to do. My mom, I was her pride and joy. I was her oldest, her firstborn, and so it was very hard for me to do. It was actually the hardest thing I think I've ever done.
Did you feel you were disappointed?
I felt like I was a complete disappointment to her, which put me in a bout of depression. I didn't have any resources at that time. I was just coming out myself, and unfortunately, because of everything and the bullying and how I saw society, I mean, I'm 28 now, so I was 19 when this happened, so it was a couple of years ago. I actually committed suicide. I actually did attempt suicide because I couldn't deal with the disappointment that I was giving my family. I couldn't deal with the fact that I
couldn't change who you were.
I couldn't change who I was, and society did not accept me. So I overdosed on every medicine that I was actually given for antidepressant pills, to be very ironic. And it was actually very close. Luckily, I was saved, and
Did you feel like you were able to get some help and support as a
I
result
did.
of that? Or did
My
that-
mom, I think my whole family saw that it was a serious problem. And then I started to explore more, do a lot more research. And then a couple of years down the line, I got to college. I actually went back to Sierra College and started part of being their Gay Street Alliance, their QSA on the college campus.
So that really helped,
helped.
with all of that.
And then I made a
seems to be
vow.
a common thread with our guests. Yeah.
I made a vow at that time that I would never let another youth go through what I had to go through, and that's why I do the work. And I work with the GSA network, which is an amazing.
Yeah, no, they're great, wonderful. Thank
Network
God,
people to work with, and Sacramento, we have some great things. We have the Sacramento Gay and Lesbian Center and all the different youth groups that range from age 14 to 29.
Right.
We have the Gender Health Center, which offers sliding scale counseling all the way from $5 to nothing.
Right, right.
And so they
actually,
have
and not only, I would like to mention that it's not only for LGBT.
Yeah.
And they actually will serve anybody at the Gender Health Center. I know I talked to the director.
To Ben.
Yeah,
yes,
to Ben not too long ago, and he shared that with me, and that's a great, terrific resource. So I just wanted to put that out there for the community as well. I want to give Joey a chance over here. He's smiling over there, my buddy. But Joey, can you tell us maybe a little bit about like some of your experiences, maybe being bullied, or if you? I mean, it sounds like you grew up in a pretty conservative place in Orange County. Some of those folks scare me.
Scare me too.
Especially the Real Housewives, but that's another show.
I came out really early, 12.
Wow.
I was just like,
That's brave.
I think I'm gay. And my mom's like, oh, cool.
Really?
We knew already. We were just waiting for your time to come and for you to tell us and all of that. And I just basically, took a stand. And I don't really know if there were really any other gay kids at my school because I never met any of them. And they never came out. I did date one person in high school. And that situation's a little different. But so it was nice. I didn't get much of like physical bullying. I did get called like the F word a lot, and one
I think
situation.
that's used so commonly these days. I wish the kids would just stop that.
Well,
gay and they just that's just
throw
like
the words out.
Yeah.
With all of that being said, I did learn like a lot from that. Like, I actually have like a lot thicker skin now. And it's definitely something that I'm very grateful for to be made. I'm not saying
it made you tougher in a way.
Bullying is a good thing. Bullying's never a good thing at all. But I do believe that because of my bullying, I'm a lot stronger than I would have been if I had not been bullied. Even now, at 22, I do still get people do say stuff, but it's like water off a duck's back.
So do you think you were a little bit more sensitive when you were younger?
Oh,
and
definitely.
So part of
My
those
mom can tell you some
experiences and that whole maturing process and everything.
Oh, yes.
And did you feel like some of our other guests, did you ever feel depressed or suicidal or any of those things? It sounds like your situation was a little more accepting than others.
Because I had such a great support system, and when you have good
awesome.
friends and good family, and even people who don't have good family, I've always haven't had the perfect family, but it's a lot better now.
Yeah.
But I always had, support from at least one person, and if I didn't, there was always music.
Yeah. So that was your outlet.
Yeah, my outlet was definitely listening to music.
Yeah. I can relate to that very much so. Well, because it's a help, it's an escape in a way, but it's also a healthy one too. And depending on who you listen to, sometimes there's a lot of enlightenment there. So
Yes.
Yeah. So good for you. Well, I'm glad to hear that your experiences were a little more positive and that you've been able to come a long way. So you live here in Sacramento now?
I do. I live in Sacramento. It's a great city. I've actually never been a part of so many gay-themed activist groups. I've only been here since February, and I've pretty much, Rainbow Chamber, Equality Action now, and a few other, Gay and Lesbian Center, doing something with them tomorrow, and just different things like that. I'm at a time now that I feel in my life that I'm put more into that because in Orange County it's not really like. as big as it is here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole district here.
Right. Well,
in
but
Orange
then you go
County.
to some communities and there's like nothing, and still
Yeah.
folks, you know, like some of the foothill communities where we work up in Amador, I have 30, 40-year-old folks come in and say, I'm not able to really come out in this community. So I think you mentioned it, Katie, that it really sort of depends on where you live and kind of the culture of the community and, you know, people's acceptance and willingness and things like that. But I do think we're pretty fortunate, particularly in downtown Sacramento, where people are very, very accepting, and you do have a district and you have a whole community. But it's amazing to me that all of you have found each other, you know? I mean, really resourceful. And that you found the resources, because many of you came from other locations and, you know, were experiencing your own struggles and challenges, and that you were strong and brave enough to get out there and find that connection. And I think that's really what you've been talking about, Katie, and how important that is in terms of really building that resilience. And it seems like that has been a big factor in all of your lives in terms of that
It's
resilience.
the connection piece.
Yeah.
It's like, even if it's not in your family, because not every family is as understanding, and some come around later after they've been educated and they learn a little bit about it. But it's that knowing that there is someone out there. Right now and today, in Sacramento, there's someone out there that will be there.
Right, exactly. That will, you know, love and accept me just the way I am. And I know that some of our funding came from the California Endowment for our LGBT collaborative with youth here in Sacramento County, but they also funded a project, I think it was at University of San Francisco, for it was called the Acceptance Project, and it really studied some of the attitudes and the biases and some of the, you know, struggles that people had coming out to their families and things like this. But the research really showed, from that particular project at least, that that parents and family members, once they really got it, were far more accepting. And once they realized how at risk it put their children and their youth, in terms of their mental health issues, when they found out that their kids were actually suicidal and things like that, it just really shifted the whole dynamic, because they really did love their kids. They just didn't get it. They just really didn't understand for whatever reasons. But it did seem like, you know, the majority of parents do want to accept, do want to understand, do want to. So I don't want to go without saying that, because I do think that that is there. And as you said, a lot of times it comes around, you know, and hopefully.
Yeah, there's like that initial shock, and I think that a lot of, you know, people that have certain religious backgrounds and certain
all the
churches,
biases we have,
and then it really makes them question and look at their values and look at who they are, and loving their child who's the same person, you know, that they were a minute ago.
Right.
And it's, I mean, I think it's an internal struggle for parents as well, and for everybody really involved, I think.
Well, and maybe there is, like Enrique was saying, sort of he felt that he disappointed his mom, but maybe, you know, it's sort of that hope for the traditional grandkids and all of that. But it's not like you can't have children. It's not like that isn't possible. It's not like, you know, it may not be the ideal way in their mind that they had hoped for or wanted. But I think that there's still a great deal of hope there, and you know, and that those things, all of those dreams don't just die when somebody comes out and says that. But it probably really feels like that at the time, you know.